times.
Well, and then you could always say too, you could be like, but I still do it too. So
Yeah,
like I'm not really
that's
insulting
true.
you.
So that's true.
So, you know.
Yeah, someone said don't say that word anymore. I was like, okay.
And I feel if anyone should use the word.
Okay. I just want to get you on recording saying it.
I feel, you know what I kind of feel though? Now I'm like looking at it different, like me hating calling people pussies. I'm like, wait, maybe only women should be allowed to call people pussies because we actually have, you know.
I just call everybody cunts.
I know.
It could be anybody.
I
men or
have
women.
been doing that. Well, I like to call men cunts more than I like to call women cunts. I don't really like calling
It's very
women
British.
cunts, unless women are just being. If you're like behaving beyond awful, then what else am I to say? You know, but men, it is fun to call them.
Yep.
Well, there's good cunts and bad cunts, so.
Right? Yeah, then there's that too. There's like so many ways you can look at it, at everything, right?
Right. What was the word Carlin was saying? Fuck, right?
He got in trouble for saying cunt, though. He got in trouble for the seven words.
But by man, he was talking about what the word fuck is, because it can be used so many different ways.
Right.
Like
he always liked to go into like great discussion on anything going on in our society. I think that's what was so great about him. Like he would break down everything, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Should we say that we're recording that our episode is live? We kind of just burst right into that one.
I think we should.
You know,
because it keeps it real.
I looked over and you were gone, and I was just like, oh, what are we doing?
Were you like, what a cunt? She just disappeared.
She bailed on the podcast.
What a cunt. No, truth be told, I had to go move my new tenants in. So I have an attached studio to my home, and I rent it out to the traveling nurses because my sister is a nurse. I love the nursing community. I don't care if I sound like a huge sap. I think that those people were the true heroes during the pandemic, the shit they had to put up with. So I would rather rent to them. Most of them are very professional and very clean folks, and they treat my property with respect. So
for the most part.
For the most part, yes.
A few exceptions.
Yeah, there's been the exception to the rule, which, to her credit, I can say that is why my studio now looks so fabulous. I had to remodel it after one terrible, terrible person, but it looks amazing now.
Yes, and cheers to drink cocktails from Blackbridge Brewery.
Clink, clink.
Cheers!
We got Bridget, hot sauce, and Aaron.
Cheers!
I'm just hanging out in the background.
Aaron! Yeah.
Hot sauce just had a ghost pepper pizza, so.
What the?
No,
how was it?
Okay,
How was it?
so you got that one. So my eyes immediately went to the buffalo chicken, and then I was like, oh my god, when I read the one underneath it, and I'm like, I should have got that
That's
one.
what we
so
did.
you got that one.
But I didn't do the ghost pepper. It was his half.
How was it? How was the ghost pepper
How
half?
hot is it?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Was it really hot?
No.
Did they bring it?
Well, if he says it's not hot, it was probably pretty fucking hot.
That's why his name is
No,
Hot
I'm
Sauce.
like I have a high tolerance for hot.
We
Well,
might,
yeah, it's-
MJ, we might have to get another pizza today, and we might have to get that one.
Ghost pepper one.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I want to try the ghost pepper to be like, oh, I'm an idiot, I shouldn't have done this, or this is amazing.
The first bite, there was some heat. I'm like, okay, it tastes like a half a jalapeno.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, half.
One bite?
Half a jalapeno.
One bite, half a jalapeno.
No. I know that sounds confusing
But
because it
jalapeno
sounds
is
like
very
it's
wild.
a half a jalapeno.
What's the index that they rate peppers on?
Scoville.
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 So it would be half of what a jalapeno pepper is on that scale.
The Scoville, that's right.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, not a whole half a jalapeno.
Okay.
Half the heat.
Oh,
And how far up is your
okay.
tolerance on that
Okay.
scale?
I see.
It's pretty high. My tolerance, yeah. I could.
Like you could take a ghost pepper.
Have
and
you
just,
ever ate ghost peppers like as an appetite, like took a bite out of it and then ate your took a bite out of your hamburger.
Yeah, I have done stupid shit. Yeah.
Okay. So how hot is a ghost pepper to like a normal person? Like
I don't recommend it.
okay.
It wouldn't be good. It's not comfortable. I mean, and it lasts an hour or 2 or whatever. But I mean, it's not pleasant. And for me, it's weird. It's kind of like I don't get a tattoo or something. I don't know. The pain, you kind of like it after a while. So.
Or I don't like it. I just like the art that it leaves.
It's just a fruit. Which is weird. I mean,
No,
you're like fruit.
I get what you're saying. I like the burning sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Plus you sweat out all the bad
sweating.
stuff.
Sweating
Aaron,
out
you
the
like hot too,
toxins.
right?
I got this habanero.
I'm literally
mustard I
doing
got
hot
from-
yoga as I shove my face with
I was
food.
telling him maybe I should start eating spicy foods. They'll slow me the fuck down when I eat because I'm inhaling my food.
Oh, yeah.
So it might help me lose weight.
That's actually, maybe that's why they suggest eating hot peppers
Maybe.
for like weight loss. Maybe that's the
I'm
thing
gonna
behind
try
it.
it. I'm gonna try it.
So Aaron, you were saying habanero mustard.
I got this habanero mustard from I think it was Stevensville, Washington, in this little locally owned grocery store. I put this on a sandwich yesterday with a couple. I sliced some jalapenos a little bit thin and put it on there like a turkey sandwich. I was like bawling. It's like pepper spray, and I've been pepper sprayed. I'm like, oh Jesus fucking Christ, holy fucking help me.
I always make that.
Are you guys thinking what I'm thinking? Like we need to have a barbecue soon so we can try all this stuff.
Who can make the hottest?
Have it out.
I make
Yeah.
I'm working swing shift right now temporarily too. So
What? So what are your hours
I'm off
then?
Saturday and Sunday all day.
Shut the front door.
I don't know for how long though.
Every
your
time
shirt,
I
bro.
deliver there, I'm like, my friend Bridget works here.
Genesis.
We have a pride flag flying at
Gabriel,
work.
Genesis.
I know, I saw it.
I about
saw
shit
it.
myself.
Last time I was like,
I know, right?
Oh my God, things are changing for the better. That was so cool.
Where were you? So easy to get distracted. I must have like ADD or something.
Is that one of your children?
Yeah, that's what.
Both of them.
Oh, both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them. Yeah,
They're off
that's
to
Colin
play.
and Dane.
Yeah, they're off to play.
Colin,
Dungeons and
Dane, say a shout out. And Cassandra, their mom.
All right, so so we were talking about beer, and you like warm beer?
Well, only if it's likable.
German.
As
But he
warm
makes
beer.
his own beer.
Really?
Yes.
I never buy.
Okay, when are we having this barbecue then that I was speaking of earlier? We could have mustards.
Homemade beer.
I will supply the meat because I have a freezer full of meat. Like
That's right.
we
Real
need to just start having barbecues that way where we like delegate our
Communal
friends. It's
thing.
like I bring the meat, you're on beer, you're on mustard and other sauces, you're on cheese, MJ. Maybe cheese. You're the cheese guy. Cheese and bread.
I know I can do the bread.
Okay, that's it.
If you tell me what kind of cheese to bring,
Okay.
I don't think I'm a good judge of that.
Cheese is okay. Yeah, we'll have to discuss. Okay, yeah, we shouldn't bore our listeners with the power of cheese
Yeah.
because it could go on and
Yeah,
on. We
our-
could do
our
a whole
party
podcast
planning.
on cheese alone. It's very important.
Like
Cheese
the
is
best
a very
cheese
important
sandwich in
food.
the world.
Oh my God, there's so many amazing cheeses out there. Don't even get me started.
That cheese island at Smith's, that will drain my bank account quicker than.
Oh, that yeah,
Cheese
that
bar.
island thing. I know, and you're just like walking around. You're like, I want to try it, and I would like try.
They have the
that.
little samples. They're like $3 a piece or whatever. And it's like, I'll take 300 of those. Thank you.
I know, God. But like even like what did I have one time that was amazing? Like champagne, cheese infused with champagne. It was like,
Yeah,
Oh
they,
my
they have
God.
a brie there, and I can't remember what it's called, but it says it's like extra creamy or something on the label. so good.
Okay, I changed my mind, you guys. Do you guys want to have a fondue party where we melt and dip cheeses?
Works for me.
There's 2 parties at least right there.
Or yeah, we just have 2 separate ones. You know, we're like we just keep making more parties.
I think fondue is like on the cusp of becoming a thing again.
Oh my god!
Everything 70s is coming back.
Oh god!
Yeah, I mean, I remember my parents having like a fondue. What happened to that? I mean, it didn't just go away, did it?
I know.
You just have to bring it back. Well, sometimes I think people just forget about how great things are. You know, because they get so busy, and then they forget about how great certain things are. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
it gets shoved to the side.
Can't you just put on a record instead of like thumbing through YouTube looking for a song?
Right? Yeah, I mean, there are artists out there where their whole album is good. That's what you bring to a party, so you don't have to keep changing.
Put it on during a thunderstorm, so it's the house is definitely haunted.
that's right, because vinyl is making a comeback.
Like Tom Petty. I mean, you just throw one of his albums on. You don't have to change it. You just put it on, you walk away. You know?
I know, the art of the album definitely went away. I used to love going to record stores, you know, and just spending like an hour there just flipping through, and like you buy it because just the album cover looked cool. You get home and listen to it.
This is your progressive rock expert here. This guy is everything progressive rock. He's
All right,
taught me
so
a ton.
you're bringing the music too. Beer and music you have to
Beer
do.
and the DJ.
And the mushrooms, because we have to
Yeah.
enjoy the psychedelic part.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
Now Aaron's interested.
Okay, we're into that.
Oh, and you too? All right.
It's like,
And then this stuff doesn't end up staying on for long.
Yeah, it's good for that.
Oh, that's why you've got the big fence, privacy fence.
Uh-huh.
How tall is it?
6 feet.
Okay, I was gonna ask, is it like a 6-foot wall around?
Well,
I've got a
I put
fortress.
it's chain link, but I put the slats on it.
Oh,
So I mean, it's not
yeah.
completely. Like, if you get close enough, you could look in. But my neighbors are far away, so it's just enough.
Oh yeah, I have the privacy screen between, like, they're actually pretty cool. Like, they look like pine needles or whatever. So they fit perfectly in there.
It's enough to keep people from going. 'Cause this one's walking around out in the backyard like, hey.
Doesn't that burn your junk? Is that,
I
Not if
don't
you
let the
were
junk go.
okay.
It don't. Yeah, it
I
stays
thought
that
about
white.
that, and I'm like, dude, if it gets sunburned,
Yeah,
If you
that's what-
tan them
that's
enough,
some
though, it's
serious
not
thin
gonna.
skin, man. Like,
Right?
if it gets,
Like, if you're already out there tanning them, like, then, like, once you build up a tolerance, then you're not gonna burn them, right?
you don't
True or
really want
false?
to burn
Yeah,
them.
you're not
It's
speaking.
just like,
I don't have them, so I don't know. But I'm like, if you, well, isn't it like with any of your other body parts? If you got it worked up your tan, like,
Yeah.
you'd be good.
My friend Dave, rest in peace. He used to just walk around naked all the time. He was tan everywhere.
Oh yeah, I've delivered to nudists. Like, it's a thing.
And he didn't care. He'd just say, "Hey, come on in." Yeah.
Oh, most of them will put out a warning sign too. They're like,
Yeah.
I had these one customers where I'd be like, if you're not okay with seeing naked people, you should turn around right now. And I'm like, well, I really have to finish my job, so I have no other choice than to expose myself to you folks. But I don't mind if you're, as long as you're not like wanting me to get naked, because I don't know if not saying that I wouldn't, but I'm like, I don't know if the situation proceed. You know,
Are
like,
we being
if it-
videotapes? Because that might change my mind.
Right. Am I being am I being recorded right now? If this is completely private. I thought about going to a nudist colony though, just to see what it's like, because
We went to a party.
yeah, like I feel like you can't really judge unless you Because I felt myself being closed-minded about it. Like
Yeah.
I was watching a thing on TV, and I was like,
after 5 minutes, you don't even realize you're naked.
right.
And it was, I don't know, 30 people there, all ages, all, I'm sure, political persuasion. Nobody discussed politics. We were just
Is
there to
that
have,
what you have to
Get naked
do?
and have fun.
we were having a good time, just chilling.
Leave your politics and your
Yeah,
clothes
it was
at the door.
so cool.
You're
really
not
liked
allowed
it.
to bring that in.
Why don't you run for office?
You were allowed to
Independent.
talk about
Independent.
food.
Run
You were allowed to
independent.
talk
As a
about
nudist?
booze.
and just said, get naked.
Okay. I got nothing to hide.
And solve
I got no
world
I could draw the campaign sign for that.
Okay.
You know what? You really should though, because you're really good
'Cause I
at
don't give a
making
fuck?
sense. Well, and call it that. Like you don't give a fuck, but I think you're really good at like making sense out of things.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I may have some time on my hands soon, so we'll discuss.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I may be taking a
You
buyout.
should do it.
So.
You should do it. Oh my God, city council, nonpartisan. You don't
Well,
even have to
I live in
disclose.
county, so I'm stuck with county office, which could be fun.
County supervisor.
Can you lie and use my address? Say, hey, city council.
I would love to get on the planning and zoning board.
Right?
That's doable.
Yeah, just stop these stupid Dollar General stores.
Let's get better jobs.
I'm gonna try to unionize all the fucking stores around here.
Have you talked to Starbucks locally?
Well, I post things on their Facebook. I'm sure they don't post back, but I'm always like, solidarity.
Yeah, and well, they're like, quite honestly, they're probably overwhelmingly scared in this area, like, and they don't understand, you know, that
It's coming though.
They could have benefits.
Yeah. The stores in
that
Utah are
they should
unionizing.
have.
So, yeah. They just
Stores in Utah?
They just unionized the Starbucks in Utah on Friday.
Shut the front
There's like
door.
150 stores that are unionized now.
And what's so amazing about that, about hearing that those things are being unionized, is Starbucks is actually known for treating their employees pretty well on the scheme of the entire workforce.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have folks speaking out in a business like that is nicer to their employees and saying, hey, look, this still isn't enough, like this just isn't cutting it, then that's the kind of thing that gives me hope to where more and more companies will, not companies, employees of companies will speak out and say we should be treated.
Yeah. Well, the Starbucks unionization effort actually started for safety violations. Like the grease traps weren't getting cleaned out, and there were issues at the store that weren't being addressed, things like that. Air conditioning not working, just the conditions.
That makes sense.
That's how it started.
That makes more sense because they have always, to give Starbucks credit, and I think we should give credit, and then we should also call out. So to give credit, they have always been a company that has given benefits to their employees, like healthcare benefits.
Yeah, and they
even
pay
to
for
the
education,
part-timers.
and they do.
Right.
Some,
So they do those things, but it's like you also can't put your employees in harm's way where they're going to be hurt at work.
And then they
they're
spend
dealing with extreme temperatures.
And then they spend $2 million to fight the unionization effort for like 5 stores. They spend $2 million on lawyers.
Okay, that pisses me off because that's on Walmart
So
level.
that's why it's gone into a mushroom cloud status now, because that pissed everybody off.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be fun if I have some time off and take an early retirement to get a job at Dollar General and stir the pot, just for fun.
Oh my God.
Just for funsies.
If you do that, are you close to retirement?
Like I may have a buyout situation soon, and I'm
Oh my God.
I'm
If
going
you
to
do
take
that,
it.
If you do that, will you be your personal reporter who does that shit and then comes back and
I
tells
told him I was thinking about doing it
I would be so giddy as fuck. I'd be
because
like,
I'm going to get bored.
I would be like, can you hire me on the weekends to help you do this? 'Cause I kind of want to be a part of it.
And I know exactly what store I'm going to go after too.
Is it the one
Wallapai Road.
on? I was gonna say, is it the one that starts on with the H on the, because I didn't want to.
Boy,
Good on you
we
for
were
calling.
getting into that
We had
yesterday.
someone yesterday who came and told us about that.
Was it Chris?
specific-
Yeah.
Chris Evans?
And how fucked up it is. Oh.
Yeah, they hire you full time, and then after 3 months, and they're supposed to start giving you benefits, they cut you down to like 2 hours a week.
They're learning from the Walmart
Yeah,
playbook.
they do that everywhere.
They do, yeah. Because Walmart is famous for doing that. If you watch the documentary Walmart, the high cost of low price.
Oh, they're next. They're
fucking
next.
do
Once
that.
this new movement gets really going, Walmart's next. Because
I
they're going
know.
after Amazon right now.
And well, I've been saying ever since Joe Biden got elected, I was like, people really need to move on this, even if you don't agree with everything that, like, I understand people not liking Joe Biden. I understand all that. And I'm not a huge Joe Biden lover. Like, I think he was my 5th choice, right, out of all of them. So, but he promised to be the most union friendly, and that is an important aspect. So we need to look at these issues just individually and be like, all right, well, he's going to at least have our back in that area to where we would at least have some leeway. So I went to my own union. I'm a member of the Teamsters Union, proud member.
UAW.
Woo, woo. So I was like, what are you guys doing for organizing efforts? Like, what are you guys out there in the streets? Because they've already made a promise. You've gotten okay, which you have never got. You have never had a president elected into the White House who said, except for maybe during FDR. But I wasn't alive then, so I have no clue if he was encouraging the union movement. But it's like, you actually have someone in today's time who is saying, I promise to be the most union-friendly president. And even if you, like I said, even if you don't like him on other things, because I don't like him 100%. I don't. I'll admit that. But it's like, if he's telling you this, which is actually for workers' rights, which is something that I believe is an extremely important thing, that is your wealth, that is how you decide if you want to devote the money that you earn to go buy your guns and if that's what you're into. Like that's my thing with a lot of the 2A folks too, is like, you've got to have the money in order to buy the stuff that you want to buy, and you should be able to buy whatever you want to buy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you should be able to buy that, but at least get that part down, and then do whatever the fuck you want. Like, get to where you have more people on your sides, because I really feel more and more every day that we live in like the United States of corporations, and it's like they're the ones controlling the levers, and they are, and it's sad because it's supposed to be a government of, by, and for the people, not
Wall
corporations.
Street.
What's
Interesting though about the Dollar General Union movement, which Bernie's been like going around the country and having rallies and shit, it started and it's strong in places like Oklahoma, Alabama. It's all in the South.
That's good though.
Very
those
conservative.
Are typically not union friendly.
And that's where it's really getting big. It's places like that. Because the jobs are so shitty. They're like, we don't give a fuck anymore. This job sucks, so I'm going to go and try to fight and make it better. So yeah, it's places like that where it's on fire.
Well, right, and what some of these, there's a huge disconnect between the wealthy class and the poverty class. What they don't understand is, if you gave these guys better paying jobs and opportunities, that would lower the crime rate, which is something that you guys like to turn against average people. It's like a lot of folks are not going to commit crimes if they don't have to. They're doing it, most of the folks who are
Even if they just get the hours they were promised to work, they're going to be too busy working to go.
Right,
give me my hours you said you'd give me.
But
That's
I mean,
all
if they gave them like a living wage, they'd be like, or a good wage, they'd be like, I have too much to lose. I've got to I've got it pretty good. If you gave them a really good life, if you gave them opportunities to where they made good money to take care of their families, they'd be like, well, I don't need this other shit. Like, why would I do that? Because I have more risks over there. Like, if I'm going to be doing illegal stuff, I've got more risks coming. If I know that I can make this amount of money and support my family and have a good life, why would I fuck with you guys? I'm not going to fuck with you guys. Like,
And
no.
I even thought about if I did any kind of chasing an office, I would actually run as an Eisenhower Republican out here.
Okay, thank you for saying that. That's what I always consider myself. Like, when people like to throw around the
Yeah,
term
I would
liberal.
register Republican, but I would be very pro-union, which
Right.
was the
And
party before.
a lot of, like, I will admit that sometimes I'm an asshole on purpose when people throw around the liberal term. I'm like, I'm not afraid to call myself liberal. I'm not afraid to. But I don't really classify myself as that. I'm like, if anything, I'm either an FDR Democrat or an Eisenhower Republican. And like, everyone else has perverse things. Like, in the 80s, the corporations took over the Republican Party. The Republican Party used to be really decent. Used to be, like, you had heads of unions who used to be Republican. Jimmy Hoffa used to be a Republican because they wanted less government interference. They're like, look, we can handle our shit. All right? Leave us alone. We don't need your overreach, which is all understandable. But it's like, we're still going to make sure that folks get treated good because they understand it I think they understand it more than today's times understand it, all the aspects of like what happens when you keep people in extreme poverty. They're going to fucking rise up against you. Because who above anyone else knows the game of numbers but unions? Unions is all about numbers. If you have a group of people who are strong and solidarity and connected and numbers, like there's one of my favorite memes, it's like a bunch of fish and they're able to attack a shark because there is like so many of them, the shark doesn't have a fucking chance. You know? And it's like, we need to just level the playing field. We need to be fair. And that's what it's about. And like, honestly, I feel bad for the Republican Party of today. Like, I feel like their party has been hijacked by someone who follows one of these sharks.
Yeah. And I was a conservative until a little bit after Obama got in office. Like, most of my life. You know?
Yeah.
And what changed me was coming out here, because I identified libertarian, and then dealing with the local libertarians here, I was like, holy shit, these people are fucking crazy. They're fucking racist as fuck.
That. Because the libertarian agenda, when it first
I couldn't get away fast enough.
came out and it was first very prevalent, it's like you read it and you're like, yeah, I probably identify as this. Like, it's about freedom and rights. But then that was perverse. And it was turned into something that it no longer represents.
It totally turned me 180. I was just like, fuck. And one of the guys, I don't know if he's still alive, he was going around bragging about having like a garage full of armor-piercing ammo, which is illegal, and threatening people, you know? And that was like the local head of the party. I was like, oh, hell no.
Are his initials KD? I didn't want to mention his name because I don't want to get hit with one of the armor-piercing, but
I haven't seen his, well, I blocked him a long time ago, but I don't know if he's even alive anymore. But that was the leader of the local party. I was like, oh, fuck this. No, like crazy militia, nut job.
Yeah, that's scary.
It's not the party I knew in SoCal.
Well, and when they go ahead and do that stuff, they're like, I will go against anything that inhibits my rights. But then it's like, but if you're doing that, then you're not thinking about other people's rights. Because I've even found myself doing that, being like, I'll agree with things, but then, you see even some people on your own side being too extreme, and you're like, well, wait a second. They're right when they're saying if you're going to be accepting of everything, then you you really can't behave like that. That's why I don't like to identify with anything. I'll use the whole liberal term, and I do it shittily, I'll admit that. I do it sometimes just to piss certain people off. Only because they come straight out the gate acting like an asshole. And then it's like with the whole word cunt. You're like, I'm just going to throw it. I'm just going to drop it. You know, I'm going to drop it.
And I've gotten beaten up for using that word many times. Like, even, you know, in my podcast, I'd get all kinds of, don't use that word. I'm like, too late. I said, you know, you can turn it around and empower yourself with it. You know that, you know.
Right. And my favorite one on that, on the whole term of cunt, was watching Ricky Gervais's Humanity thing, when he specifically talks about the word cunt being used. And he's like, so I made a post. I won't try to do my English accent, although I normally
and
like
cunt,
to.
where he comes from, cunt's like saying bitch. It's
right.
Nothing. Yeah.
But he was speaking in reference. There's specific people in the Asian culture who they feel that if you beat the shit out of an animal, a dog, which we consider pets here, you know, I realize there's a different culture, but if you beat the shit out of them to kill them, they feel that it tenderizes the meat. And so Ricky Gervais, being a animal rights activist, said, he made reference and he said, and this cunt, you know. And so he got backlash from a woman who had said, well, I agree with what you're saying, but I just don't like the term. And he's like, so you're more disturbed with me saying the word cunt
The guy beating a dog
than
to
you
make
are
it taste
with
better.
the guy beating the shit out of a dog to death so that he can have more tender meat. Really, like, this is the problem? It's like, yeah, like, what are we doing?
And I had to like explain etymology of the word cunt to this woman. A couple women that yelled at me. It actually comes from Chaucer, and it was country woman. It was like a slutty kind of or whatever. And it was shortened to cunt. It was country girls, country women.
Really?
That's where the word comes from.
Comes from?
Comes from the 14th century.
Oh, wow.
I learned that color.
So, did they...
Learn something every day.
Do you think that they... So, like, back in the day, do you think it was a term where it was an okay... You're like, oh, yeah, that's a cunt. Like, she's from the country? Or do you think it was, like, somebody getting offended by someone being a strong woman, and then they're like,
Most
what a
likely.
cunt.
Most likely. I mean, but the intention was to put down country women. They're low class or whatever.
But it started out as a positive thing then? I mean...
Not really.
They're
They're country girls.
Always,
yeah, just...
It was always negative. So it's kind of like calling someone a hick.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're calling someone a cunt, it's specifically generated towards females
Lower
who
economic
are
class.
from the country. Wow, that's... We're always learning. We're always learning on... That's what we love about our podcast, because we always have people come on who tell us things that we didn't even never fucking know.
Although, with all this you didn't talk, I'll bring it back to why we're here today. It is good to see companies like Waste Management and Starbucks in the back coming out and supporting this, and a
Unisource.
lot of True Value out at the airport has
They hang up the Pride flag right at the beginning of June, because we both work out at the airport. You see it the first day June goes up, all the way through the end of the month. They don't take it down.
Nice.
So it is a good thing to see.
Right, and a lot of the companies that do support it, and they do get backlash, but they don't like that.
FCA has now...
They're
I've
flying
never
the
seen
pride
it out
flag
there
first time
before,
ever.
but they have it now.
Yep.
Did somebody raise hell out there to where they were like,
I
you should consider? Or?
I have no idea. It's corporate, the international corporate's been very supportive of Pride for many years. Like the Detroit Pride Parade, they sponsor it. They've been a big player. I'm on the, it's called Gala for the corporation thing, like, part of the planning committee or whatever. But I just get the emails because I'm out here.
Right.
But as far as, locally, it was, guffawed at, it was like, and then I saw the flag and I was like, holy shit, what the hell, no, in a good way, like what happened. I was shocked. So yeah, I don't know who was behind it, but they may have been told you have to fly it now. I have no idea.
Did you start crying when you came into work?
I-
You're like, oh my god,
I got a little
Like,
bit. I held it together, but yeah.
I did when I was crossing.
I stopped
through
in
this.
my- I
was
literally
like,
stopped in my tracks.
Oh my god! I'm like,
Yeah, I was
That's
walking
great.
in and I just stopped and went, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing,
like, do I really see a rainbow right now? Oh my god!
So I don't
These
know.
eyes deceive me.
And I think that's a little part of the backlash on social media, like the city of Kingman was promoting this festival.
Which shocked the shit out of me as well.
Right. And we've mentioned that several times. And there was a little bit of backlash, but for the most part, it was 85-90% positive. And I think what the minority is who lash out against it, I think they're afraid. Or I guess afraid isn't, they're not educated about it. And this is something that they're just going to have to learn how to tolerate.
Yeah, and I think the kids have been a big part of the acceptance growing too. They've really been at the forefront here locally.
To stick up for them just a little bit. I mean, I don't agree with them, but I don't agree with their thought process on things, but to stick up for them just a little bit. Everybody has a different amount of time that it takes them before acceptance. Like there's different. I remember I have a gay cousin, and he, unfortunately, the rest of the family always jokes. We're like, God, unfortunately, he has to be Uncle Denny's kid. Uncle Denny is a conservative who has lived in Louisiana for the most part of his life. Before he lived in Louisiana, he lived in Kansas, so it's not any more liberal, So I remember sitting there talking to him one time and being very angry with him and being like, why? There's a reason why Scott won't come around the rest of us. There's a reason why. Like, he doesn't feel comfortable. And then he probably thinks that the rest of us think this way, which none of the rest of us give a fuck. If he wants to have a boyfriend, the rest of us don't care. And I was really mad. And me and him we were talking late at night, and I go, and so finally I just had it with him, and I'm like, what would you do? What if Scott wants to get married? Because it was during the time of when gay marriage was still illegal in the United States, everywhere. It was not legal anywhere. And I go,
It's only been 7 years since.
What? And I go, what are you going to do? What if Scott wants to get married to someone? If he wants to get married to his boyfriend or whatever. What if he wants to get married? Have you ever thought about that? And he's sitting there in his armchair and he goes,
Never thought of that.
that's exactly what he said. He goes, I never thought about that, and he's never even told me about that. And I go, you know what? I understand why he's never come and told you about that, because because you have this ideal. You have this, and like, you and me used to be such great friends. Like, we always sing La Bamba together. I'm like, wait, you're not, it's not that you're not an accepting person. It's like, why are you, this is your son.
Yeah.
Like, why are you behaving like this? And he was just like, he was done talking to me for the rest of the night. It was like, and then Aunt Mary, who is his wife, came to me the next morning and she's like, you two are done talking about politics. You're no longer allowed to talk about it. And then I kind of backed off a little because there's a certain amount of policy within my family. So I was like, all right, maybe I should just back off a little. Maybe this is too much for him. But then when Grandma died, we got like all these great old photos from the 40s and 50s, and I go, and I'm looking at these photos, and I'm like, and I could see Scott's face because Scott flew down for this too. I go, I'm like, I told my mom and my aunt, I'm like, oh my God, we had Divine in our family before Divine was Divine? And they're like, shh, you need to, and these are liberals telling me to shut up. So it's like, but they knew, they weren't necessarily telling me to shut up and be quiet. They were doing it because of the way that the family was. But yes, I had a great uncle who was, he was a member of SAG-AFTRA. Like, he was a SAG member, and he would perform a lot of the performances that he would do would be completely in drag. And I was like so proud. I'm like, why didn't I ever get to meet Uncle Wee? I'm like, this is so amazing. I'm like, well, this concludes to me, like, I'm not gay, but I'm like, this answers my question of why I've been so drawn to the theater and wanting to be an actor. I'm like, he's the reason why. I'm like, it's just, yeah, but he died like in the 40s, sadly. Like,
and the thing I don't get mad, but I get, okay. So like the thing with politics and queer gay issues or whatever, you know, everybody's like, you know, all gay people are liberal. That's not my experience at all. I know people from all over.
It's not true.
It has more to do with where you live, not that you're gay or straight. Because I know people all over the country. I go on vacation with these people, and it's just more where they live. Like if you live in a Republican area, you're a Republican. And some of the gayest gay people I know are conservative.
So if you
There's not a liberal bone in their body.
If you asked me what I thought, my cousin I was speaking of, Scott, I am sure to death that he identifies as Republican. But my thing is like, I don't want his rights.
Yeah, the two are not connected at all.
They're not at all.
And I get a little out of...
Not at all.
I get, when people are connected, I go, eh.
And he's one, like, he named his dog Diva. He has an entire closet of costumes for his dog. Yeah. He is, like, he probably goes to the parades in booty shorts, still identifies as a Republican. Yeah. Like, that's what we need to get across here.
I know so many friends who are very, very conservative.
It does not, like, those are people slapping labels on what it, like, I don't really care for the label of liberal being slapped on me, but I'm like, but usually the people that do it, I'm like, I'll play your game. Of course I am. You know, I do it to be an asshole. And maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should correct them every time. But I also want to show them that there's nothing wrong with being liberal. Yeah.
But they're not, they're two aren't, they're, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So the media does that a lot. And I'm like, eh. Like, you haven't been to West Virginia, you know, or places like that, you know.
Right.
The media, they're looking at New York and LA. That's all they see, you know.
And it's like, sometimes I like to make the joke with conservatives too. I'm like, conservative, I'm like, I'm part conservative. I'm like a #1 supporter of conserving the planet. Like, so there you go. Like, it's not like conservation. If you look up definitions of words, you realize that they don't necessarily mean exactly what you thought that they meant. You know, with like socialist, with communist. Not that I really don't agree with a lot of the communist things anyways, but socialism, like, people should learn more of what that word
the VA is socialized medicine.
That's what I've been saying that one for years too. I'm like, the military is actually a socialist program. We pay
very much
into that. And we all appreciate that they have our backs and that they defend us, all of us like that. But we're all supporting that. So true.
I'd say, you know, I'm probably friends with a couple hundred people across the country. I'd say half of them are probably skewed conservative, and more than half served in the military.
Right.
Like probably 70%.
Oh my gosh, you should tell the story recently of the person who was very upset about the Veterans Parade.
Oh yeah.
Thank you,
yeah.
Amy.
Well,
That's okay.
that was, they were saying it was on the City of Kingman post, and they were like, well, I don't understand why Pride gets a whole month and Veterans Day just gets a parade in November when it's snowing. And I'm like, well, it's Kingman. There's places where it snows in November. I'm like, okay, but we're talking about Kingman.
You
on
brought
the
up
stage,
Kingman.
okay? And I wanted to go like a little bit attack a little bit, but I'm like, no, because in the spirit of this Pride, and I was like, okay, it'd be nice. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you go out, put the legwork in, talk to the city, talk to planning, talk to the park,
Do a Veterans Month.
do a veterans,
They would probably do it.
yeah, do a veterans barbecue, appreciation barbecue. But the thing is, they just want to cry, they want to bitch, and instead of just put the legwork in, okay, write your congressman, write your senator, and say, hey, let's make May Military Service Appreciation Month.
Yeah, I'd be totally doing it.
Well, and what they don't understand too is like they're welcome to come here today. Like there are gay veterans. I hate to break it to
There's a
them
shit
if they
ton of
thought
gay
that. Yeah, right. If they thought that there weren't, like I'm like, they're welcome here. They're welcome to. We saw a woman in
Right,
here
I mean,
yesterday who was in her veteran shirt. She came to the parade. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
That like.
And you know what we should do? We should promote this because the #1 movie in America is Top Gun. If you don't think there's gay people in the military, watch Top Gun.
Yeah,
Is that
especially the
volleyball
volleyball.
Is that a
Yeah.
top?
And
is that
in
a
the new
Tom
one,
Cruise joke?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Tom Cruise. I'm not saying anything about Tom Cruise. But in the new one, they're playing beach football, and
Oh my
it's
God.
a totally.
I haven't seen it
They
yet. So
changed
no spoilers.
the volleyball scene to football.
Well, you can't do the same thing.
And the other thing that irks me about Pride, it's become this happy rainbow of unicorns. It started with a riot. It started with bricks getting thrown. Pride was a riot. That's how this shit got started. And people don't dwell on it enough, in my opinion. It's serious end of it needs to be.
Well, did you hear about in Idaho there was 31 people
Yep.
arrested? and
Patriot Front. They had a cop that was infiltrating the group. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't hear that part.
One of their members was a police officer, and they were planning. They rented a U-Haul. They got everybody in the U-Haul with loaded long guns, and they were going to shoot people at Pride. That was the plan. That's why they all ended up on the ground with zip ties, and arrested. You know, their faces covered and everything.
Why didn't they ask
Coeur d'Alene,
you
Idaho.
to do a segment? Oh God, and that's like the nicest part of Idaho, right?
And Idaho's not, I don't want to get into the liberal conservative thing, but very
they're
conservative.
not. They're a conservative state, but like
Yeah.
Coeur d'Alene is like
It's a nice area, I think, isn't it?
maybe they have a lot of conservative money there.
Yeah, the police were on top of it. They also arrested some preacher too.
But okay, so for next year at Pride, and maybe we can put in suggestions. There should be stuff more on the history.
The history.
aspect of
Yeah,
it.
I'd be happy to.
And then you should be like a speaker here to be like, look, this is where we came from. This is where we are. Like to still spread the love and to do that, but to say, look, it didn't always start out as something so amazing. We had to fight.
And the history is very
Because
interesting.
I didn't know that.
It goes back.
I didn't know that.
It goes back to the late 1700s. I mean, it goes way back.
And now, like the only thing I know of where it was harder for folks was my own family. The actor I had in my family who I was telling you about, like he was not openly. My mom always told me, she's like, when it comes to Uncle Lee, he wasn't. We knew, but it was never
spoken
of.
Yeah,
because,
my family had that too.
Every picture that I see, I'm like, He has lipstick on in that picture, you know, like, because that's how he felt comfortable.
It was flamboyant back then. Yeah.
Right.
They
and
never said the
you could
word
tell
gay.
he had like a, even in the black and white photographs, like, because that's all they had back then. And there was like the photographs of like my great grandma, my great grandpa, and then my grandpa, and his brother is Uncle Lee. And so, so it'd be my great uncle. He looks totally different from my grandpa, like, and you could just tell. And my mom like confirmed that. She was like, yeah, we all knew that Uncle Lee was like that, but you just didn't say it. But we loved him anyways because we are real Christian, like, well, real Catholics. Like, I come from a family of Catholics, but they always did the thing of they accepted everyone. They're kind of like how the Pope that we have today is like, which I'm sad to hear that he's actually stepping down because he's not in good health, but he is purposely trying to find someone to replace him who has like views like the Pope, like where.
But they still haven't changed anything.
Right. Well, at least he has defrocked some of the abusers. I mean, at least like there are steps, because Catholicism, it goes back, like you said, like centuries ago. So it's hard to break that, but I do actually like I do actually like Pope Francis. It really has nothing to do with his religious views. I think that he is a decent person. But
I just wish he could make some real changes.
I do
Like,
too.
Let women into the ministry, let priests marry, let people use condoms.
I wish that he would do that too, but I think that he's spoken out recently against like the whole abortion issue though, where he's like,
Or nachos.
because actually, like, if you read the Bible about abortion is, they've already said in the Bible, though, if it is between the life of a mother or the life of the child,
It's life of it.
the life of the child gets
And that's
taken away.
Yeah,
Like,
the Jewish community has
like-
no issue. And
Yeah,
there's actually
like-
there's instructions and numbers in the Old Testament
like,
that tells
sorry,
you how
you're
to do an
not
abortion.
going to, you're
Yeah,
not going
the
to
bitter
kill
waters.
the woman.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to.
Yeah,
So-
that's a whole other ball of wax.
Oh, I know, and it's like something we can't get into
Yeah.
today,
But yeah, my Aunt Rose had a life partner. They were together 50 years. My Aunt Mariel, who had no relation to me, but nobody ever said the word gay. But they shared a bed. They had their own alarm clocks on each side. I mean, they were obviously in a relationship, but it was never, ever spoken about. And they were very Catholic.
Right. Yeah, I went to, when I was in high school, I had a really good friend, Patty, and her brother was gay, and she goes, we have to go. They were extremely Catholic. Like, her family was extremely Catholic, but they left the church that they normally went to, and they went to a gay-friendly church because her older brother was gay. And the church that they had gone to in the 90s, it was the early 90s, would not accept him. And so at least Patty's mom had the decency, and her father had the decency to say, we'll find a church that we can go to then, because we love our faith, but if you're not going to accept our son, we don't want anything to do with you anymore.
And on that point, you know, the whole thing, like, all men are created equal. If God did create all this, then He created gay people.
Right.
In His image.
He created all of us, and that's why, you know, their animals have same-sex relations. You know,
Dolphins.
Like, I love dolphins.
Dolphins are some kinky
Like,
animals.
so, they will rape humans.
Yeah, I've had a lifelong wrestling with religion, spirituality, and all that. I was raised Catholic, and I completely walked away. I have deep issues with the Catholic Church, but and I'm always wrestling with things. We have discussions, and but as far but I've had a lot of discussions about being gay or whatever in the Bible, and Jesus never said shit about being gay. Never breathed a word about it. And then there's a movie coming out. It's going through the film festivals right now. It's called 1946. The word homosexual was never in the Bible until 1946, and it was put into American Bibles. And it was a misinterpretation of a Greek word that actually meant child molester, not homosexual. So that Leviticus passage about man shall not lie with man like he lies with woman, it actually said man shall not lie with boys as he lies with a woman.
Which I agree with.
And there's a lot of evidence to support. There's other older texts that show this same, like German and I forget what the other language was, Latin. This was an American invention that was inserted into American Bibles in the 40s. The whole anti-homosexual movement started.
Just like the American Jesus. I mean,
By the same people who say that the Constitution is the rule of law, even though the Constitution is very poorly worded.
Yeah, it is meant to be a breathing, changing document. That's why we have amendments.
One of my favorite bands has a song called American Jesus, Bad Religion. And it talks about,
So one last thing, your hat. Is that DNR Pride?
DNR Pride. Derek and Romaine, it's an online community, also a travel agency that was my Pride before we had Pride. I met people from all over the country and Canada, going back to about 2012. Some friends of ours from Vegas are on their way down right now who are part of this. I met them through it.
Are they coming today?
Yeah, Tony and Michael, they're from Vegas. They'll be here. They were here at the first Pride 3 years ago.
Are you bringing them back on the show later?
I can try.
Well, we're not going to.
Cool.
I don't know if they're going to be here like 2:30 or something. Okay. But they know a lot of the same drag people that the local people know. Like everybody knew each other. It was kind of cool. So yeah, it was Derek and Romaine. They were on Sirius for years and now they're independent.
Oh, cool.
They have their own network online, travel agency, everything.
Yeah, because we've been, this podcast has turned into a fashion show this weekend.
Has it?
Commenting on fashion. And,
we're commenting on everyone.
Oh, and then
say gay.
This was a fundraiser because of the asshole governor down in Florida. So I paid $20.
Governor death sentence?
Yeah.
That one?
Yep.
That asshole governor?
So I think this went towards some legal fund or something.
I call him governor death sentence.
Yeah. So that's what that's.
Yeah. I mean,
he's like Trump on steroids.
He might
Trump with brains.
He might be even worse than Trump.
Oh, 10 million times worse.
I mean, because now if you speak out against gun violence like the Tampa Bay Devil Rays did, he took away funding for
the
their
Special
training
Olympics.
facilities.
Did you hear what he did to them?
No.
They wanted to be able to vaccinate their athletes. And he caught wind of it, and he yanked a bunch of funding from the Special fucking Olympics because they were pro-vaccine.
Well, when they...
So now they don't have to get vaccines now.
When they always talk about how after the first episode of the 1/6 trials, they're just scared that Trump's gonna come back and he's gonna Biden's gonna have to run against him. I'm actually, I wish that Biden ran against Trump again. I'm sorry, but I think that
I don't see either one of them running, honestly.
That would be his best bet if he actually ran again. He already made the promise to us before that he was only going to do one term.
Yeah, I don't think he's running.
I hope that he doesn't, because of what.
Yeah.
I'm okay with him, but I hope that
speaking of
other folks are.
Why doesn't the Democratic Party groom, say, Pete Buttigieg to be a charismatic but more middle of the road Democrat?
Because he's not. He's a moderate. Pete's very conservative.
But you need That's what you need.
Right.
You need the right to come a little bit to the left and the left to come a little bit to the right and not have horrible candidates.
I actually like Mayor Pete. I still call him
He's
that.
not
I
liberal.
still call him Mayor
Yeah,
Pete
he's
versus Department of Transportation.
I could
but-
see them
but-
putting him up for 24.
but
it wouldn't
Pete-
be out of
Pete-
the question.
Pete has an Obama-like quality to him,
Yeah.
where he's
Pete
very
is-
charismatic.
Pete's an excellent speaker. Pete was actually my number 3 choice. He was like actually 2 steps ahead. Honestly, like when we were when we went through the folks who were running, like Pete was number 3 for me. Like,
I think Pete was my number 2.
like
It was a Bernie bro all the way.
no. Well, who do you think my number 1 was? Who do you think my number 1 was? And then number 2, if you can
Yeah, I
guess,
hated
would be
Biden.
Elizabeth Warren.
I hated
mean,
Biden. I held my nose, but I've come
Right.
around. I'm still not completely on board, but I like him better than I did.
It went Bernie, it went Elizabeth Warren, it went Pete,
I liked Warren
it
too,
went
yeah.
Klobuchar, and then it was Biden. Like that's how my list went. That's how my list went. I was like, if we're gonna have an old person, I was like, I want somebody like Bernie. if we're
I think it's going to be Buttigieg. I can never say his name. It's horrible.
Buttigieg.
It's like
Buttigieg.
say Mayor Pete.
And it's going to be him and DeSantis, I think, in 24.
Well, if it is, then that's actually good though. Then we actually have a chance. Because I think,
I don't know.
I'm telling you, I think love wins. Like maybe it's
It's gonna
just
be
at the
close.
festival
I
we're
don't know.
at, and
See,
I'm
I've got
love
the
wins.
conspiracy theory. The gas companies are partially doing this.
Oh, they're doing it on purpose. Absolutely.
They're doing this because
Yeah.
they want a Republican in office.
Absolutely.
Well, they don't want to pay taxes, and they want their subsidies. Like it all makes sense.
And the same thing's going on in Europe because they're having kind of a similar
Right.
political situation. Actually, they're a little ahead of us. They went through it a couple of years ago, what we're going through now.
They're always ahead
Yeah.
of us. Damn it! I can't wait to move there. I
I
can't wait to move.
I'm personally sick of talking about gas. Like Kellyanne Conway on Bill Maher this weekend.
Yeah, Biden has nothing to do with prices in fucking Poland and England and Canada. Canada's paying $9 a gallon. So, I paid $4.68 in Golden Valley.
Europe is paying like already, I think, $10 a gallon because they rely on Russia more than we do.
And their taxes are
Well,
high.
and that's the
Right.
thing. These gas companies, I said I didn't want to talk about it, but these gas companies, they'll get it up to $5, $6 a gallon. And then when it comes down to what it is right now, we'll be like, oh,
We'll be happy to pay $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had their biggest profit ever the last 2 years. Ever. And they cut back production.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it's all, you can look it up. You can look up the amount of money that they've made.
But that's-
it's
You're being awful quiet.
not a secret.
That's the problem, though. People won't actually look it up. They'll just say, well, so-and-so is telling me that. Which,
No, that's why we're
which-
saying. That's why we are saying to our listeners: if you don't believe us, go look it up. Go Google search it. Go find out all of the stuff that we are telling you.
Although-
because we don't want to lie to people. Like that is never our intention.
Although-
we never want to lie.
A broken clock is right twice a day, right?
It is.
Trump
You
did
are-
say we'd be paying
Sorry.
$7 a gallon for
You
gas.
know, if Trump had actually stuck to his original, other than the wall, I hated the wall stuff, but he had some really interesting things to say when he ran in 2015-16. If he'd actually done those things, like he wanted to ban assault rifle, remember?
Oh yeah, I remember.
If he'd actually done that-
when there was the mass shooting that came out, and
It was
he
Parkland.
said that. I was like,
I agreed with some stuff he was saying back then.
That's actually one thing that I actually agree with him on. I'm like,
But
wow,
then he
we
let
are
whoever
finding
talk
common
him out of
ground.
it. Like he would just kowtow to whatever big money interest was telling him what to do.
The thing I like to say about Donald Trump is, like, anyone he is clearly a damaged person himself, but anyone who is so in love with him, like, go work for him for a month I guarantee you will hate him when he never pays you. Like,
Oh, he doesn't pay people,
because
absolutely
he's not going to pay you.
He's got 3,500 lawsuits against him right now for not paying people.
And like, and it's because he doesn't give a shit. And it's like, but like listening to Mary Trump, his niece, it's like he's also a damaged person. Like, I get it. I get why he acts the way that he acts and the way that he behaves, is because he was a hurt person. I get it, but he should not run the country. Like, we should expect better for our country. Like,
Well, the only
I've been hurt. I've been damaged.
He could have so easily gone just a little bit this way and been a hero. Like, legalize weed, ban the assault rifles, pay off the student debts, like all this stuff he said he was going to do.
And see, I keep hoping that that's like Biden's like last straw. Is like he's going to be like the whole thing that you said, legalize weed on the federal level. Because I'm like, whoever does that is going to win, hands down. You will win. You will get people who have never voted before to come out and vote. If you are promoting that.
And so why hasn't Biden done it? All he's got to do is sign a paper.
And not only that, but it is something like, I'm not a huge, like, I have no problem with marijuana. I'm not a huge, like, weed proponent, but I'm like, this is a drug that if you watch any of the drug documentaries, this is a drug that has been wrongfully classified ever since the Nixon years. It has. I'm sick and tired of paying for people's, I am sick and tired of paying my fucking tax dollars for people in prison on weed charges. I'm sorry. They could be productive members of society. I don't want to, I've looked into all the costs on what it takes to house a prison for a whole year. It's like $30,000 some dollars. There are a ton of folks in prison who should not be there because it's bullshit. They should not be there over marijuana.
It's cheaper to give people
other drugs.
A check.
Yeah, okay. You haven't convinced me otherwise yet, but like, simply with the aspect of marijuana alone, when we're looking at that, I don't want to see people in prison for marijuana. I don't want to see them in there at all. I don't.
But the private prison industry does.
I know, and that's another thing that, don't even get me started on that one.
That's
right?
why it'll never get legalized.
That'll be a whole nother hour-long topic. Is like that specific thing is because that's a bunch of bullshit too. Don't agree with that because that took away. Even if we look at it as the private prison industry took away from good paying government jobs from folks. Even if we look at it as that, like when you privatize the prisons, they don't give their employees what the government offered them from being run through counties, cities, states, municipal things.
And as a journalist, they don't have to tell you anything they're doing.
Right.
It's a private company, so they can just tell you shit. If it was run by the state completely, they'd have to public information request.
And for any of our listeners, I am for locking up and housing violent offenders. Yes. Anyone who is not a violent offender, I don't really want to see behind bars for the distributing of marijuana. I'm sorry. Some of the other drugs, yes, I would need to be more convinced of, but there's some drugs that we need to outlaw by our own pharmaceutical companies because they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, or they need to be heavily regulated through that, and you shouldn't be able to do the whole counter. Because I'm obviously talking of fentanyl, and I understand there's certain folks who need to have fentanyl. I deliver to somebody who is allergic to all the other opioids and can only take fentanyl. That should be okay because he does it responsibly. He actually...
And it's regulated. It's not off the street.
Right. He does the fentanyl patches, and he's actually told me that he has cut the patch into 4 pieces because even a fourth of it will knock you on your fucking ass for the rest of
it's
the
an
day
elephant
and you
tranquilizer.
can't move. Right. So, but this is a person who got his face blown off during Margaret Thatcher's war in the 80s. It's one of my older customers.
You're his lifeline, I bet.
Right. And it's like somebody like that needs, so we need to have a better handling on that. But we should, I'm definitely like where we should be like, we should not be penalizing marijuana offenders. I'm sorry, I don't believe, there has never been significant evidence to tell me that marijuana is bad.
Nobody's ever OD'd on it.
You have never shown me any studies to prove to me that marijuana is bad, so I don't really want to see people locked up for it. That's my opinion. I don't. Like, if you want to make them pay fines for having a certain amount or whatnot, fine, go ahead. But like those could be different laws. Right.
You want to grow 300 acres of weed? I really don't care.
I personally, I don't care. But if they want to regulate it in a certain way, I don't think that making folks serve time is the answer. I'm like, if you want to do, like, if they've exceeded the amount that they can have, if you want to do a fine system, fine. But, you know, because I'm trying to do the whole compromising thing. But I don't really want to see folks in prison for it.
Well, you ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, we've probably been talking, like, Bridget always has that effect on us. It's her fault.
Yeah.
I'm blaming her.
We get each other all wound up.
She needs to
That's why we need the
be a
need the
guest
food.
speaker next year.
Because we can be like, hey, food's ready. Let's go eat.
I know. But she needs to be a guest speaker next year to talk about some of the histories.
I'd be more than happy to.
Because you know more than the average person.
Because I'm
on, like,
old.
The history of it.
I'm old. Been
I'm
around
older
a while.
than you.
Are you? I'm 50. I'll be 52 this year.
Or you're just a lover of facts.
Same age as this guy.
Like, you know, like being, like I'm a lover of facts. Like that.
I like history.
Right?
So if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Exactly.
I was watching a thing on Watergate last night going, how the fuck did this? And then you go, oh yeah, I know how the fuck this happened.
Did you, either one of you, listen to Bagman?
No.
It's really good. It is still, it's timely. I mean,
No, but you know what I'm excited for?
the movie.
They're having on Netflix, they're having a special coming out soon called the Martha Mitchell Effect. She was
The wife of the,
She was a conservative who hated liberals.
yeah.
She would spout her mouth off all the time, and she was fucking silenced over the whole Watergate thing. I am on the edge of my seat waiting for her.
She was
special
mentioned
to
in
come out.
Bagman. They had an episode about her.
Huh? They dismissed her as a drunk and a socialite, and
She was like, hey!
which to what she actually did, she would lay in the staircase. She's John Mitchell's wife.
That's right.
Who was like was that Nixon's Attorney General?
Something like, yeah, he was
high up
that
in
or a
the-
cabinet member.
Right.
Something close to him, yeah.
She would lay drunk in the stairwell of her home, and she would listen to all this shit that they were talking about. Then she came out with it, and a few months later, she died of a certain cancer.
They muzzled her.
She fucking died of a cancer. Like, and then so the woman who played her in the movies, she was in Clue. She played Mrs. White in Clue. Madeline Kahn died of the same fucking cancer, and she also played Martha Mitchell. It's weird. It's weird, and I can't wait to watch it all. And then we can come on and discuss
Talk about it.
when we have the
Barbecue.
The barbecue.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I gotta deal with the.
Chris, you joined us too late. We were talking about Dollar General a little bit.
Oh, I said too much
Hey,
yesterday.
Well, remember when we went to the
But we're
motocross
taking a
thing?
break.
And I said I was
We're
going to
gonna
drag
down
you to
that.
one of my things.
We'll